If we go back a little bit, actually the 2017 exodus in the face of extreme atrocities was the third of its kind. Leaving aside these smaller exoduses and a very important, about 300,000 people crossing over between the second and the third exodus in a very slow and continuous manner. So this has been a very long-drawn program. Now, what did we do after the 2017 exodus? We thought, well, we had sort of resolved the issue on the earlier two occasions, and the government thought that they are going to resolve the issue again in the same manner and started the bilateral negotiations. Some people, like me and others, said that no, this is not going to work. We said it almost on day one that this is not going to work because the entire purpose was different. This time, it was an effort by the military regime to once for all get rid of the Rohingyas from Myanmar. This was not taken into cognizance by the government. They just went about for 4 or 5 years into bilateral, absolutely futile negotiations. Not to speak of anyone being repatriated, there was actually no pathway for the repatriation agreed during this time. We cannot stop the bilateral negotiations, but let us not be very hopeful about bilateral negotiations leading to a repatriation of the Rohingyas from our camps to their own country. Now, a lot of these things have been spoken already, so I don't want to repeat, but then the thing is that they have to go back voluntarily. We cannot force them to go back. They will have to go back voluntarily, and they will go back voluntarily only if they see that they are going to be secured on the other side. So there are two things. One is security, the other is rights. I am not going to the details of rights, but then without rights and security, they will not go back because they are in the camps here. At least there is reasonable level of security for them. Why should they go back to a worse situation? Because that is the situation they escaped from and came to Bangladesh. So we must ensure that they go back in rights and security. The changed realities in Myanmar, I'm sure this has been amply discussed already, which of course affect the possibility of repatriation. There was, well, many leaders in the world had hailed the restoration of democracy or things like that in Myanmar, but the reality remains that actually Myanmar did not have democracy. It was a quasi-military government with Aung San Suu Kyi as the face of the government to be shown to the world. So even that semblance was thrown away, and 4 years back, 4.5 years back, the military took over directly. And for the first time, as has already been mentioned, that even Myanmar has been seeing the insurgencies in ethnic areas for eons, but for the first time, the bombers took up arms against the military regime. So for the first time, we have a sort of a complete civil war going on in Myanmar. Complete civil war going on in Myanmar. And I do not want to be hopeful that unless the dust settles, we will be able to send our Rohingyas back to their country. Already we have spent about 8 years. And maybe it will take some time more, but what I insist on is that we must arrive at, through diplomacy and through negotiations, maybe beyond diplomacy also, we must have the roadmap how all these people can go back. Not the tokenism that was tried twice and failed. I was happy, and I expressed it openly. I was happy that the tokenism did not succeed, because a token repatriation would have given some additional weapons to the military regime in Myanmar, that look, we are resolving this issue bilaterally, so the world doesn't need to be concerned about this thing. That did not happen, and as has been also pointed out, that with so many things happening all around the world, including in Myanmar, the issue of repatriation there is a tendency of putting it behind, in the back seat. So one of the jobs of Bangladesh diplomacy has been to keep the issue alive, mentioning it in each and every occasion possible, even when the occasion is not exactly for this, but just to bring it up like this. And I think a good success has been the visit of the UN Secretary General, and the words he said, I think he has been really helpful in, again, bringing the issue before the general audience of the international community. Now, how do you negotiate? With whom you negotiate? If we go to the realities, if we refer back to the realities, there are basically three authorities of different levels of power, but there are three. The military regime is still in power, and there is, as I can see, that some sort of a, territorially speaking, some sort of a thaw in the entire situation. None of the parties are gaining much ground as of today or in the last few months, if I say that. The military regime is told us about completely controls about 1/5 of the country and about 40% of the country intermittently, and the rest is in the hands of the either the NUG supported armed groups or the ethnic armed groups, as has been the case for a very long time. So you have the military regime, you have the Arakan army, which is a reality. Because for us, Myanmar is largely a Rakhine state. Decisions may be taken elsewhere, maybe in Naypyidaw, maybe in other capitals in the world, but the fact remains that the Arakan army is in possession, is in control of the Rakhine state. So they are a party to reckon with in any future dispensation. It's my opinion again. Others are free to disagree with me. In any future dispensation, when the dust settles, Arakan army is going to call the shots as regards the situation and the state of affairs in the Rakhine state. So they are a party. They are then a non-state actor and a government which recognizes the Myanmar state. It's not possible for them to directly go into negotiation with them. And finally, you have the NUG. It represents the members of parliament who were elected by the people and were just dismissed by the military regime. The NUG, for the first time, addressed the Rohingyas as Rohingyas. They issued 3 statements specifically addressed to the Rohingyas. They also, in the first statement, they had asked for the Rohingyas to join them in their efforts to defeat the military and establish democracy in the country. In my opinion, at that time, the opportunity should have been taken, and the Rohingyas should have become a part and an actor within the NUG. This, unfortunately, neither the Rohingyas nor the then Bangladesh government took any cognizance of this offer. And one thing is that someone doesn't fight and then give the rights to you. You have to be part of it. So I think that was an opportunity which was missed. So this is a very complex situation, as everybody agrees, that we are in now, because there are 3 authorities of different nature, and all will be important when finally a settlement is arrived at in Myanmar. Now, the apathy of the international community, apart from the provision of a limited amount of assistance to the camps. I think this apathy is dangerous not only for the Rohingyas and for Bangladesh, but for the international community as a whole. You are going to have in the camps 1 million or so young people, half of them young boys. And it would be naive to think that they will just spend their life peacefully in the camps, waiting for the relief to arrive and having a little food and a little shelter. Maybe involved in a little bit of smuggling activities and just take on their life. This is not going to happen. This is not going to happen, I'm convinced. There can be difference of opinion, of course, again, I agree. So, these people, in time, if this issue is not resolved, will become a problem for us, yes. They will also become a problem for the region and the wider world. So I would like to call upon the international community that they must resolve this issue. Of course, the issues, as has been mentioned, that this, the attitude on the other side of the border, etc., are there. But then, just you don't like me doesn't mean that I cannot leave. Just you don't like me as your neighbor or you're staying beside you doesn't mean that you can kick me out and then I have no rights to my place. So this has to be taken into consideration by the international community. This, I think, this view also resonates with the fear of radicalization that has already been spoken about. Last point that I would just mention. History says that such a problem has never been resolved peacefully. Such problems have always been resolved through conflict. Look at 71 in Bangladesh. Defeat of the Pakistan army. That's how the issue was resolved. Look at Africa, Rwanda. It was resolved after the Hutus were defeated. In the Balkans, the stalemate was broken by force, by US and others' intervention. Is this the conflict that is going on in Myanmar? Is this the conflict that is going to give or bring up an opportunity to resolve this issue? We have to ponder over it, and maybe, while the situation has definitely been more complicated, but maybe this is the opportunity in which the Rohingyas' rights can be re-established and they can go back to their home. I thank you.